Welcome to a brand new hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Haley Sutton. The NBA Finals are going the distance. The Pacers stunning OKC with a Game 6 victory, leading us to the best two words in sports, people, Game 7. So let's set the stage on Sunday night as we welcome in our guy, Tim Doyle, our NBA betting analyst, our NBA sports line guy, all the things when it comes to basketball. And Tim, we've got to talk about this Game 6. You're wanting to take accountability. We're going to get there in a minute. But before we do so, this is the first Game 7 since 2016. And we remember that was the year that LeBron James put Cleveland on his back, came back from 3-1, and brought the team their first championship. When you think about the way this series has gone between the Pacers and the Thunder, it's hard to live up to that moment. But where would you stack it up here?
As far as game by game, Haley, I'd put it up against any series over the last 20 years, game by game. So many of those games in the LeBron Golden State era were so lopsided, except for that Game 7 where Kyrie obviously made the big shot. The Boston Kobe matchups were fantastic. Lakers and Celtics, those are some dramatic games that went right down to the wire. That has to rank amongst the top. But the problem is you have two small market teams, and they don't have that big fanfare of a Miami and New York and LA. But the games itself have been off the charts. There's no other way to say it. This is something, Haley, the NBA is going to have to deal with within the next 3 or 4 years, because what's going to happen during that time frame? LeBron's going to retire, we think, right? I mean, you got to retire at some point. Steph's going to retire. Durant, James Harden. Like, there's going to be a changeover. We're watching it right now in the NBA Finals with SGA, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Williams. These are the new superstars of the NBA. But actually, game by game, the drama in this series, Halliburton game-winning shot, SGA putting on a remarkable MVP performance in game number 4, or else Indiana would have been up 3-1. I think the games have been sensational, and now a pinnacle here, Game 7 in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, it hasn't been the sexiest in terms of, like, Indiana, Oklahoma, maybe not the teams that you would think. But like you mentioned, that game-winning shot from Tyrese Halliburton had set the tone. And that kind of became a recurring theme with Halliburton. I know we want him to be a scorer, Tim, but he doesn't want to be a scorer. He wants to be an assist guy. And going into that Game 6, all the conversation was around that calf, right? Is he going to play? If he does play, is he going to be 100%? It didn't matter because he went out and had a fantastic performance. And he proved you and a lot of our analysts wrong here, giving the Pacers a win in Game 6. How were they able to be on the other side of that and get the win on Saturday, or on earlier this week?
Yeah, it's just been something with Oklahoma City throughout the playoffs and being on the road. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They have just been below average on the road. Now they go to, 4-4 overall on the road in the postseason. And by the way, if you've been betting Oklahoma City on the road, you're getting crushed out. They've been terrible. Sorry, not 4-4, 5-5. So they have played 10 road games in the postseason. They're 1-9 against the spread. And by the way, the one win was probably the luckiest of all time throughout the postseason, was that game where Indiana led in the fourth quarter and SGA ended up putting on that show, and they ended up covering by 1 point. So they technically, easily could be 0-10 on the road. They have just been pathetic on the road against the spread with a 5-5 record. As for Indiana, they are just an amazing group, and they just stick with it. And it could be TJ McConnell, it could be Bennedict Mathurin, it could be Obi Toppin. They've gotten so many guys. Pascal Siakam's been fantastic. So a complete team effort. But now you got to go to Oklahoma City. I think this spread is outrageous. I think it should be closer to 4.5, 3.5. But all season long, Haley, I've been picking Oklahoma City to win the NBA championship. So I'm not going to jump ship game number 7. Like, we just ran a marathon now. So obviously I think the Thunder are going to win this game, but both these teams are in very unfamiliar territory.
Yeah, and the Pacers are used to kind of playing that underdog role. They've been the underdog since the postseason started all of those weeks ago. But you mentioned Pascal Siakam and his role in all of this for Indiana. Before we flip the script and go over and talk about what the Thunder need to do, I want to key in on Siakam, because a lot of people, Tim, have forgotten that this is a champion. He has been a great player for multiple teams here, and now he's leading the Pacers in scoring, among other things. How crucial is it for him to have a big game on Sunday?
Yeah, he can't have like 15 points. He has to be a difference maker. And I thought they lost Indiana game 4, which is going to be the game that we all look at if they lose this series. That was the game that they gave away, and they could have been up 3-1. But they learned from that. They got away from Pascal Siakam in that game. And I thought they went back to him when they went to Oklahoma City. He was fantastic in Oklahoma City in game number 5. And he followed that up with another double-double effort in game number 6. His game number 5, he opened up the fourth quarter, 5 of 5 from the field. He had 14 points. He got Indiana back into the game. He's just one of those guys that does everything. He guards, he rebounds, he affects the game in so many different ways. He's the ultimate teammate, but he's going to need a performance of a lifetime. You know, last year, they went to New York in game number 7 as you check out their points per game leaders and look at the balance there. And they played unbelievable. Everybody picked the Knicks. No one thought the Pacers could win. Pacers going to Madison Square Garden. They shoot like 65%. They can't miss a 3. So they have that inside of them. They did it last year in game 7 against the Knicks. They're going to need a similar effort where it's not just Pascal Siakam. It's Nembhard, it's Toppin, it's Halliburton. If everybody has one of those games, they easily could win.
Total team effort from this Pacers side if they're going to take down the Thunder. Although the conversation I've been hearing about this matchup, Tim, is that there's no real pressure on the Pacers because no one expected them to win in the first place. All the pressure is on the Thunder, who we know, you pointed out, they've been terrible on the road in the postseason, but they are better at home. They're 10-2 at home. However, when we talk about the Thunder, the overarching theme with this team for the past 2 seasons has been their inexperience, right? They're too young. They don't have what it takes to get there because they don't have the closing experience. So as this group stares at a game 7, a potential championship on Sunday, how much of those concerns are weighing on your mind? I know you said you're taking the Thunder, but there's that chance there that the youth kind of sneaks in there on Sunday.
I think it has sneaked in there, or snuck in there, whatever the proper English is. It's happened multiple times this postseason. We've watched it in every series. You know, I'll take it back to the Memphis series, game 3. They're down 29 points at Memphis. Ja gets hurt. They make a dramatic comeback, but they learned something in that series. Then you go to the Denver series. I thought they were the better team 6 out of 7 games, but they won 7 games. They were life and death to win that series as well over the Joker. Minnesota, I thought they were just the better squad, but game 4, they were great in Minnesota in that game. And now we're here. So what have we learned from them? Obviously, the last 7 home games, game 7, they're undefeated. They got a great home court advantage. They've responded to losses all season long and all postseason long. But this game's going to be different. Like, the energy is going to be different. You see they're following the loss, 18-2. I mean, that's sick. That's great adjustments by the coaching staff. That's a way to bounce back. They learned, and I'll use this expression, they've been like a butterfly. A butterfly doesn't start off a butterfly, right? It starts off as this little worm on a tree, and then it has to go through that metamorphosis, right? From the larva to the pupa, and boom, out the butterfly, the beautiful butterfly. So it's been frustrating to watch as a Thunder better, and I'm holding futures with them, but they've had to go through this process. Everybody had to go through it. Michael Jordan had to beat the Pistons back in the 80s, right? Larry had to beat Magic. LeBron had to get over the hump and win a championship in Cleveland. So what I'm watching with Oklahoma City is like a lot of growing pains and a lot of learning experiences, but this is a really young squad. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I cannot see a game that's going to be like 120 to 118. Like, I just can't foresee that. These 2 young teams are going to have butterflies in their stomach for game number 7.
I thought you were going with the iconic float like a butterfly, sting like a bee situation there. Instead, you gave us a science lesson, which I think is equally as valuable. So, Tim, thanks for that. You told us already that you're leaning into the Thunder as your pick to win. I got a couple numbers for you that I want to sort of hammer home maybe that point. Home teams 15-4 all time in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, so that bodes well for your Thunder there. However, teams are 4-1 in Game 7s of finals after winning Game 6 by 14 or more points. The Pacers did that earlier this week, Tim. So I ask you again, why the confidence in the Thunder on Sunday?
Well, first of all, I'm losing confidence. I'm not gonna lie, okay? Because I felt great about this team winning the West, and you get the matchup you want in the NBA Finals. You didn't want to see the Celtics, right? You didn't want to see the Cavaliers. You get the Pacers, and you're like, the Pacers, like they've had all these dramatic comebacks. How can they keep doing it? But the thing about the Pacers is they keep coming after you. And now you're going to give them a 7.5-point cushion? Oh, boy. Like, I know it's difficult to bet against the Thunder at home and following a loss, but I think they're laying too many points in this game. I do think that they're going to win, but I think this is going to be a grind fest. I think this is going to be like the old 97, 93 type of game, and SGA, make some big shots down the stretch, because both these teams are in unfamiliar territory, and you have a coaching edge if you're the Pacers with Rick Carlisle, who's been to multiple NBA Finals. So I think it's going to be a great game. It's been an awesome series. It just stinks they don't have like LA and New York on their jerseys, because then the ratings would be through the roof. The drama in this series has been fantastic. So one thing I do like is I think it's going to be a very, very low-scoring game. I think buckets are going to be at a premium. I think you're going to get a little nervous. Game 7, I'm so nervous. So it's going to be awesome to watch. All eyes are going to be on it. This will be the best-rated game, obviously, the series, it being game number 7. Thunder win. The hammer is not going to come out for this one, okay? I think it's going to be a dogfight.
Are you saying you've got butterflies in your tummy there ahead of Sunday's game? There we go. Bringing it full circle, Tim.
I am. I'm nervous. I got Thunder futures, Haley. I'm like Jesse Spano. I'm so excited. I'm so scared.
Oh, good luck to you, Tim. Always a pleasure checking in with you. Our first Game 7 since 2016, and it is coming up on Sunday. Indiana leaning into that underdog mentality. They've been underdogs all season. And how about this? They can tie the 2004 Pistons, that was our own Rip Hamilton squad, by the way, as the largest NBA Finals underdog in the last 40 years. They entered the postseason with 80-1 odds, and yet they stare down a championship on Sunday. We will see who takes home the title Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Can't wait. Welcome to former NBA Coach of the Year, Avery Johnson. He hit the game-winning shot for the Spurs to win the NBA title in 1999. And Avery, you also coached in 2 Game 7s, 2005 and 2006 in the playoffs, won both of those games. What's it like coaching in a Game 7?
It's a ton of pressure, because at that stage of a series, everybody really knows each other's strengths and weaknesses. I don't necessarily think you're going to outcoach anybody, but at the same time, you have to have something in your back pocket. In 2005, against the Houston Rockets and Jeff Van Gundy, we didn't play zone the entire series. And I was waiting, because I had this 2-3 matchup zone in my back pocket that we basically sprung on them in the third quarter. And we went on, a 20-0 run, and they never recovered, and we never looked back. In 2006, against the Spurs, I kind of switched my substitution pattern, especially trying to find a favorable matchup against Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. And that substitution pattern helped us to get to a point where we were close in the fourth quarter. Dirk makes an incredible shot to force it in the overtime when we isolated him at the right elbow. So whether substitution patterns, a zone that you didn't have you played the entire series, maybe some underneath out of bounds play that you can steal a 3 on. So those little things, they're very important in the Game 7.
Did you get any sleep the night before?
Probably 90 minutes. 90 minutes. I didn't sleep because you're tossing and turning. I think I was elbowing my wife in the middle of the night, and she said, hey, you need to go to the office. You need to get up and watch some more film, because it's a very stressful time, especially because there's so much on the line.
Both of these coaches in this same scenario. Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle, 3-2 in Game 7s. Mark Daigneault, 1-0 in a Game 7. You remember he just beat the Nuggets in Game 7 in this year's conference semis. Avery, how much can Daigneault and the Thunder use from that experience?
I think that's a part of their, whole overall body of work this entire series. But they're not playing against the Denver Nuggets. They're playing against the Indiana Pacers. They're playing against a much deeper team. Denver was probably 4.5 deep, maybe 5. You're dealing with a team that's 10, 11 deep. And Indiana, when they really get it going and they're playing in transition, Tyrese Halliburton obviously didn't play but about 20-plus minutes, but having him on the floor gave Indiana a ton of confidence. because they didn't have to overuse T.J. McConnell. Had Tyrese Halliburton not played in that game and T.J. McConnell was a starter, then everybody would have had to move up one in the rotation and felt like they had to do more. That series would have been over in 6 games. But because Halliburton played, Rick Carlisle can keep everybody in their normal rotation, and that was very beneficial for the Indiana Pacers.
SGA is going to have to do more. He had 8 turnovers in Game 6, tied for the most by a player in the NBA Finals in the last 40 years. Avery, this is a big if, but how would you view SGA's season if he doesn't deliver in Game 7 and lead the Thunder to victory?
It's still a team game. We know he's an MVP, but at the end of the day, the MVPs need help. Kobe needed help. Michael Jordan needed help. Tim Duncan needed my help to hit the game-winning shot in 1999 because he was triple team. You know, star players need help. So his role player is going to have to come through. The bench is going to have to play well. And at the end of the day, he still had an extraordinary season. If he doesn't win the championship, you know, a lot of people look at this as a failure. Maybe if they would have lost 4-1. But when you have 7-game series, I know they're playing at home. I don't know if I would call it a failure because this guy's been sensational this year.
Yeah, past performance tells us that SGA will bounce back. 10 straight 30-point playoff games at home, longest streak all time. Along with SGA needing to step up, Avery, what's the key for the Thunder to win Game 7 on their home floor?
The number one key for the Thunder, they have to defend the three-point line, but they got to take care of the ball. They got to limit their turnovers. It's going to be very important for them to limit their turnovers. They can't have 21 turnovers. So they have to be south of 12 turnovers. Remember, in the win, they had 11 turnovers. They did win a game with 16 turnovers, but Indiana turned the ball over in that game. So ball security. SGA had 3 turnovers, I believe, in the first 5 to 6 minutes in the first quarter. Very uncharacteristic of him. So ball security, on time, on target passes, knowing when Indiana's playing in the passing lanes. Sometimes you got to use ball fakes, shot fakes to make the right pass, lead your teammates in the right direction. If they can do that and limit their turnovers, they're going to get more shots on basket. And if you do that, that gives you more opportunities to get offensive rebounds, free throws, so limit their turnovers.
Yeah, Thunder had a season-high 21 turnovers in that Game 6 loss. Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers, took advantage, and they've proved, Avery, they can win in OKC. So what has to happen for Indiana to do the improbable, go on the road and win a Game 7 in the NBA Finals? 2
things. Threes, please. Indiana's got to make 15 or more threes. And the second thing is they have to slow down Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams cannot have a 40-piece. You know, I know you, Hakeem. You and I have had dinner together. I know you how you like those 2-piece dinners and that Kobe beef.
Yes, sir.
I know what you like, Hakeem. But again, they have to really slow down Jalen Williams from scoring 40 points, and they have to defend the three-point line and run Indiana off the three. Because if Indiana makes 15 or more threes, they will be cutting down the nets in OKC.
Pacers trying to win their first NBA title in franchise history. Thunder trying to win their first since moving to OKC. The Thunder have won 7 straight Game 7s at home, so you certainly like those odds. Avery, who you got Game 7 NBA Finals Sunday night?
Hakeem, at the end of the day, OKC has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Indiana doesn't. And I believe he's going to do whatever it takes. He'll probably score about 42 in this game. I think he's going to go off. He'll get to the free throw line probably around 16 times, maybe 14. The home crowd in Paycom Arena, and I know a lot of those folks from Paycom, an extraordinary organization. They're going to cut the nets down. They're going to be celebrating in Oklahoma. This is the closest. Remember, Hakeem, this, I believe, is the closest closest NBA championship of 2 teams in the last 50 years with Oklahoma and Indiana in terms of their proximity. This is not Golden State and Boston, 2 small market, some sort of Midwest South team. So this means a lot to both of these franchises. I know Indiana's fans are going to be packed in their arena, but guess what? I wrote it down.
All right.
I'm going OKC 112, Indiana Pacers 104.
All right. Hey, look, when this series started, everybody was going, oh, two small market teams. This is not going to be a great NBA Finals. And here we are getting a Game 7. How lucky we are to see that. It is great for the league. Great to have Avery Johnson here setting us up for Game 7. Avery, thanks.
Thanks, Hakeem.
Entering the postseason, the Pacers were listed at plus 8,000 to win the NBA title. If they win it all, it would be the longest odds by any of the champions of the 4 major North American sports on record. The current record, plus 5,000 by the 2007 New York Giants. Game 7, Sunday night, 8 Eastern on ABC. We'll have full pregame and postgame coverage right here on CBS Sports HQ.